Hi, my name is Kathy Wade, and I am co-founder and CEO of Learning Through Art Incorporated, and we are thrilled to be back with you again for our next training for Books Alive for Kids, where we make books come alive through sight, sound, and touch. This training is entitled, He's Got the Whole World in His Hands, and yes, it is based on that beloved folk song, which is beautifully illustrated by Kadir Nilsson. Let's take a look at our study guide. But before we do that, let's just make sure that you have everything that you need in your book box. You should have your book, He's Got the Whole World in His Hands. You should have enough craft material, which includes your paper, your filters for your coffee filters, your blue and green markers, your black construction paper, and we'll also make sure that you have a spray bottle so that you can complete the craft. And then you have your vocabulary words and your study guide, which is of course aligned to the Common Core. So let's get started with our very first session, our reading session. As you know, we have redesigned our study guides, so we now have 8 pages. And as you open up the study guide, we always continue to talk about our classroom management technique, which is of course the Ago and the Ame, 2 words in Swahili from Africa. Ago meaning, are you ready to listen? Ame meaning that you are ready to listen and that you can continue with the program. Just something that we share with you to keep your classroom management technique up to par. So let's take a look at our study guide. We're going to first look at our summary, and as you know, we talk about our themes, and our themes for this one are diversity, multi-ethnicity, self-awareness, and of course nature, which we'll see how that plays out in just a moment. Let's go to session 1, and we always start off with what? Showing what you know. So we have 3 basic questions, just asking your students to take a look at the cover, asking them to describe what they see, and preparing them to get ready to hear about the book. And then the second step is, of course, to read the story. And in this particular case, our story is a song. And with that, you can actually go to our resource center and listen to the music too. He's Got the Whole World in His Hands. And not only read the book, but then after reading it, you can sing the book. Once you've done that, then you have the post questions, which we now ask, now what do you know? That's when it gives you an opportunity to your students to go back, reflect upon the words in the song, the words in the story, and answer those appropriate questions and see what's new. Every time you do Books Alive for Kids, we always recommend that you always start with the book. So with every session, you will begin with the book. We also include the vocabulary, and included in your study guide, of course, in your book box, of course, are your vocabulary words. So we have the vocabulary words right there in the study guide for you as well. After that, we have what we call our classroom activities. In this particular case, we have a classroom activity that deals with how we see it, our vocabulary detectives, our reader's theater, the natural connections that are made through the story of the book, and then of course, instructional read-alouds. All of those extended activities have all kinds of directions that you can implement to continue to extend the story and telling the story of how He's Got the Whole World in His Hands plays out through various aspects and activities. We do have a sidebar of information that really talks about how many people are on the earth. Did you know that there are 7.5 billion people on our planet? My goodness. So we give you lots of fun facts about the number of people on the planet and perhaps why we have 6 billion people in a matter of 200 years inhabiting Mother Earth. We also want to talk about just a little bit about not just the people that are on the planet, but that everybody on this planet becomes one of our neighbors. And the way we want to illustrate and really talk about that is in our next session when we look at part 2, and that is how do we make our craft. And in order to do that, we're going to welcome the craft queen herself in Learning Through Art, our program manager, Nina Parr. We'll be right back. We're back, and I have the fantastic Nina Parr, who's back with us, our program manager, and of course, our designer extraordinaire when it comes to our crafts for Books Alive for Kids. We're also happy to welcome Nina back because we have one more person in our family. Little Walter Fox Parr is with us now, so we're very excited. Welcome back.
Thank you.
This
Good
is
to be
very
back.
cool. Absolutely. So tell me, what are we going to do today, and what are we going to make so that we can demonstrate how we make He's Got the Whole World in His Hands come alive through our craft?
We are going to make a window hanging that's going to kind of act like stained glass when we hang it up and when the sun shines through.
Nice.
The things that you're going to find in your book boxes are a stack of coffee filters, a stack of construction paper, a water bottle, and some green and blue washable markers. The only other things that you're going to want to collect in your classrooms are going to be scissors, pencil, tape or glue stick, and some protective newspaper because we are going to be spraying our coffee filters. So anything that's going to keep your desks as clean as possible.
Okay, good.
So the first thing we want to do is take your single coffee filter and flatten it out as best you can. Okay. This is going to be our world, and in order to do that, we of course are going to use blue to represent water and green to represent the land.
Okay.
And we're not going for accuracy, we just want to kind of give it the world feel.
Okay.
So one thing that I will suggest is when you're coloring, you don't want to saturate the coffee filter. You want to make sure that there's some white space to leave room for the water to spread and kind of make it a watercolor bleeding effect.
Okay.
So you can see I'm just going to kind of scribble on some color, and we can kind of make it a general world, meaning I'm just going to kind of put some green spaces where I think the continents lie.
I like this.
And that's just as much as you need there. It's just some scribbly green color.
Great.
And you're going to do the same thing for the blue, anywhere around the green to represent the water.
Love it.
Just going to scribble it on. This way when we spray, it can really spread out and bleed into each other and mix the colors together.
And make it look like the world. I love this.
So you can see here, we have our blue and green colors on our coffee filters. We're going to lay it down on our newspaper.
Okay.
And with our water bottles, we just spray 3 or 4 times until you see the colors start to kind of mix together. You don't need to saturate it, and actually, when it's the bigger spray, that's going to be better. I don't know why it's not right now, but there we go.
So it's more of a spritz that we're trying to go for. I got you.
More of a spritz.
Okay.
And it really doesn't take very long for these to dry, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. So you can pick up your newspaper, take it over somewhere else to dry, and while that's drying, we're going to cut out our hands so that we can have the world in our hands.
Okay.
And what I did, and not every student's going to want to do this, but as a way to speed up the process, I'm going to fold my paper in half,
Okay.
and then I'm going to trace my hand on one side.
Okay, so I'm going to fold mine in half because yours is already folded, just so that everybody can see how we're doing that. This is actually kind of a math problem. When you take something and fold it in half, you should have 2.
So once my hand is traced,
Okay, I'll trace
I
my
really only
hand.
have to trace it one time, and I'll only have to cut one hand out because obviously when I fold it, I create 2 of the same. So it kind of speeds up the process.
Okay, I'm going to do that. I like this. There's something wonderful in the study guide while you're doing this, where we talk about the sun, the moon, and the stars, because not only are we looking at the whole world in his hand, just in terms of how everyone on the planet is connected to us as some form of family in terms of just being a neighbor, but it also talks about the scientific aspects of our world and all the things in our universe. So not only do we have the opportunity to talk about the world, but we also have the opportunity to talk about the moon, the stars, the rain, all of those elements that make up the things that happen on our planet.
So once your hands are cut out, my coffee filter is still not quite dry, but just to show you, you're just going to use your tape or your glue stick and tape it onto your world.
Okay.
And you can just tape it right on the back so the tape doesn't even show, or glue it on the back.
How
And you have
wonderful.
Your world in your hands.
That is so absolutely cool. I just love this. This is great. And you know, what gives us an opportunity to honestly see all the things that we do with our hands that are very positive in our world. I like this. Once again, making our world come around. This is so cool. He's got the whole world in his hands.
And that's it.
That's it. Enjoy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Isn't Nina Parr amazing? I always absolutely love the craft ideas that she comes up with. What a wonderful way to truly demonstrate having the whole world in your hands. I love it. And that takes us to session 3, which is our performance. And as usual, we'll be working with the Children's Theater of Cincinnati for this particular performance. And we're going to incorporate another show that we do in our office with a wonderful song called The Hood is Bigger Than You Think. Because in that song, it talks about understanding that we have to respect our planet and everyone who's on it. It's going to be a great time and a wonderful performance. We also want to point out to you in our study guide that we always include our extended activities, our learning activities, in the various curriculum areas. So we have math, science, social studies, and of course, on our resource center, you will find any materials or any information that we were not able to put into your book box or in our study guide will be right there in our resource center, which is open and free to anyone utilizing our program. You just simply have to sign in, sign up, and you'll be able to access all that additional information, including finding that beautiful rendition of He's Got the Whole World in His Hands. We also want to make sure that you take a look at the section on rain, clouds, rivers, oceans, and mountains that are included, because when you sing about He's Got the Whole World in His Hands, we talk about the world in all of its entirety through here on the planet and throughout the universe. We hope that you've enjoyed our book, He's Got the Whole World in His Hands, in this training session for Books Alive for Kids. We look forward to seeing you again. Enjoy.